The night I understood my family no longer saw me as human. I was sitting at my own dining table, quiet, invisible, waiting to be told where I belonged. If you're still listening, don't blink, because what happened next changed everything. My name is Margaret Lewis. I'm 72 years old, and I live or used to live in a quiet suburb outside Savannah, Georgia. After my husband died, my son convinced me to move in with him for safety. That word sounded warm at the time. It didn't stay that way. That evening, the house was full. My son Daniel, his wife Rebecca, her father Charles, and guests I didn't recognize. Laughter bounced off the walls, glasses clinked, and I sat at the far end of the table with a folded napkin in my lap, like a guest in a home I once paid for. Charles stood up first. He always did. He liked standing over people. Well, he said loudly, lifting his glass, some people earn respect. Others just take up space. The table laughed. I stared down at my hands. They were shaking, so I tucked them beneath the tablecloth. Then he looked directly at me. "Margaret," he said, smiling, "you should be grateful. Not many families tolerate dead weight. At your age, you're lucky we let you stay." The room went quiet, but not in my defense. Rebecca smirked. "Dad's right. Some people confuse family with entitlement." I looked at my son. Daniel didn't look back. That silence hurt more than Charles's words ever could. I wanted to scream that I raised Daniel alone after his father's factory accident, that I worked jobs, that I skipped meals so he could eat. But I'd learned something cruel over the years. Truth means nothing when people prefer lie. Charles leaned closer. "In this house," he said softly, "you follow rules, or you leave." That was the moment something broke inside me. Not anger, not fear, clarity. Because I finally understood they didn't want me obedient. They wanted me gone. Later that night, I lay awake in the guest room, my room now, listening to laughter drift up from downstairs. I thought about the house I sold, the savings I handed over for management, the documents I signed without reading, and a terrible thought crept in. What if this wasn't cruelty? What if it was preparation? Before dawn, I made a quiet decision. I would stop begging to be seen, and I would start watching. I didn't know it yet, but within days, I would discover a secret hidden in plain sight, one that explained everything they'd done to me. The first thing they took from me wasn't money, it was privacy. The next morning, I found my bedroom door unlocked again. My mail sat opened on the counter. Rebecca didn't even pretend to hide it. "Must have been junk," she said. I nodded and remembered. That afternoon, while the house was empty, I went into the garage. Dust covered everything. Old boxes, forgotten files, things no one thought mattered anymore. That's where I found the folder. It was labeled in my late husband's handwriting. "Property, read carefully." My heart started racing. Inside were documents I had never seen before, deeds, land surveys, a trust amendment dated 3 months before my husband died. And my name was on every page. Not Daniel's, not Rebecca's, not Charles's. Mine. The land, 20 acres outside Savannah, was still legally co-owned by me. Worse for them, it was being used as collateral for Charles's business loans. Without my consent, my knees buckled. I sat on the concrete floor, the papers shaking in my hands. So that was it. The insults, the control, the humiliation. They weren't annoyed by me. They were afraid of me. That evening, I called a number scribbled in the margin of one document. A man answered. "Law Office of Grant and Miller." I whispered, "My name is Margaret Lewis, and I think something was stolen from me." 2 days later, I sat across from an attorney who didn't interrupt once. He just listened. Then he said the words that changed my life. "Mrs. Lewis, if what you're showing me is valid, you own more than you think, and someone committed serious fraud." That night, Charles yelled louder than usual. Rebecca watched me with narrowed eyes. Daniel avoided me completely. They could feel it. Something had shifted, and for the first time in years, I slept peacefully. They thought they could scare me into silence, but when they tried one final lie to destroy me, the truth exposed them all. Rebecca accused me of stealing the next morning. $200 cash. She screamed. She cried. She demanded Daniel call the police. I said nothing, because my lawyer had already installed cameras with court approval. Charles was smiling. He thought he'd won. Then the footage played. Rebecca slipping the money into her own purse. Silence swallowed the room. Daniel turned pale. Charles looked small, but small men don't surrender quietly. That night, Charles tried to throw me out. Physically. He grabbed my arm hard, and that's when the police arrived. Fraud charges, elder abuse, illegal use of property. Daniel finally looked at me then, not with anger, with horror. What happened in court would not only destroy Charles but force my son to face the truth he'd avoided his entire life. The courtroom was quiet when the judge spoke. Charles was sentenced. Rebecca followed. Daniel wasn't charged, but he lost something more painful than freedom: trust. Afterward, he knelt in the hallway. I believed them, he cried. I didn't protect you. I didn't yell. I didn't punish him. I stood up. I survived without your protection, I said softly. Now you'll learn how to stand beside me, not over me. I moved back into my own home a week later. New locks, new silence, new peace. I sit in my bedroom now, telling this story not because I'm broken but because I'm still standing. And if you're listening, so can you.